Hi, and welcome to Tea Time with Amie and Bev.
Good morning.
What? Really? They really need to watch the videos instead of just the audio. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you miss out on that part.
I don't have no music, but I can dance.
That's
Chair
right.
dancing.
I got music. I got music in my head.
Sit. Let my soul be happy.
That's right.
Sweetness. How's it going?
It's going really good. It's funny that we're talking about music all of a sudden so quick in the part because you always ask me, so how's it going? What's going on? What's new? What's new? It was our practice around the house is when we start getting our monkey mind, the chatter in the head, the getting stuck on a story and then you keep going over and over and over it, or beating yourself up from the past. A lot of times that we call that monkey mind around here, and I think I've heard it before other places as well. But it's funny, the best way to shut it down is with music because it brings you present right now. So
Joyful
that's something that
music.
I
Let me just add joyful music, uplifting
joyful music.
music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Not
don't
not
want
to
to, you
get
don't want the
anything.
monkey mind going and then listen to music that's going to take you deeper into that hole because I've done that
Exactly.
before. And then you're bawling. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or else, or more angry, because I used to listen to that kind of music all the time. I hate my mother, and not that I mean, I probably went through those emotions at one time because someone had to have the blame for everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of music. But no, you're right. Listening to good uplifting music, whatever that looks like for you, and
I
then
mean,
paying attention.
if you want to be sad or angry, okay, set
Yep.
a timer for like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Be on your
And
pity
then
pod, and then let's move in a different direction. For sure,
yeah,
we've said that so
like
many times.
yeah, totally devote yourself to that emotion, and then walk away from it.
And I love it. You're bringing this up because I went onto my Facebook page before I got on here,
Hmm.
and I have a perpetual flip calendar. I'm not using it right now, but I do have a perpetual flip calendar by I believe it was the one by Wayne Dyer. And for a while, like a couple, 2, 3 years ago, when I would flip it to the next day, if I liked the message, I would take a picture of it and post it on my feed. So I
Gotcha.
get on Facebook this morning, just before we got on here. There's, the memories that pop up. So here's the calendar picture. Ready for this? This is great because you've already hit it.
Oh God.
There is a world of difference between searching for happiness and choosing to be happy.
True.
Is that awesome or what? And like, haven't even shared that, and here you go. You're already on that path of conversation. I was like, cool. Here we go. It was
Here
meant
we
to
go.
be.
Because it's a choice,
So
right?
was it the chicken and the egg thing? Did I write this down, remembering to bring it up, or did you already have this in your thought or did I send the message to you telepathically and you picked up on the energy, right? Chicken before the egg or egg before the chicken? We don't know, but here we are.
That's right. But it's awesome because it's a choice. So I could be in that space, and the reason I'm doing it is I've noticed we talked about my hair before, so I've noticed that there's been some stuff going on again recently, and there's been some outside stuff that's been going on, a little bit of drama. That's it's almost like a test. Am I going to get pulled into this? How am I going to react to this? How am I going to communicate this? And it's like it's been everything that I've done is different than how I would normally would have behaved because I would have reacted in the past. And it was always eye for an eye. And now it's like, why are you telling me this? Like, I don't need to have this information. If you're going to share something with me that's going to uplift me, then share it. But if you're going to share something with me that's going to bring me down or that I'm going to give energy to, why would you want to share that to someone else? And I understand why, because when you're in a victim mindset, you're putting someone else in a victim mindset. It's not that you're doing it on purpose. People don't do these things on purpose. It's just they're in that space. And it was my choice to either dip into that space or drop into that energy or however you want to look at it, or I could choose to be otherwise. And it's like I just did everything different than what I would normally do. And I've just noticed that the easiest way, because I was reminded, the easiest way is to listen to music because that brings you present. Because if you're stuck in your head, you're usually, like we've talked about a million times, you're either in the past or you're in the future. You're not right now. And so that listening to that music helps bring you right now. So what I've started noticing, I'll sit there, and if I start noticing my head, it starts to go. And that's a practice. It's not something that we just learn overnight, but the more you notice it, the more you will notice it, and you catch it before it gets too out of control. And I'll start singing the song in my head. Maybe I won't even turn on music, but I'll just start singing it in my head. So I already hear it. So I've distracted the monkeys.
Yeah. You redirect the attention of what you're giving your attention to. So I just wanna point out a couple things. When somebody is brought into our experience, our immediate experience, like with Bev, somebody's bringing her negative news. I had this happen to me also this past couple days. And choosing to dip into that energy, I'll just share real quick that my experience includes a lady that I'm being a caregiver for right now who enjoys the news. Okay, she likes watching the news. And over these past 2 days, she hasn't been watching the news. Anyway, I won't go into all that, but the past 2 days she's had the news on, and I will go over there and she'll tell me these things that she's listening or hearing on the news. I don't, let you understand, I don't watch the news and I don't even read the paper. So honestly, I'm one of those people. I don't know what's going on in the world because I'm in my world and my world is joyful. So if the world ended today, at least I would leave feeling good about myself and feeling joy, right? So I'm in my joyful world. So I go over there and check on her, and she tells me these things that she hears on the news. And I will stop her. I'm like, was there anything reported that was good news? Like any good news reported? And she says, no. I said, then I don't want to hear it. I just cut her off. And this is the elderly lady. I'm like, I don't want to hear it. And I'll ask her, was there anything good reported? No. Then I don't want to hear about it. And then it's like she has nothing to say.
Yeah.
So that's okay with me because I can sit in silence with somebody. That doesn't bother me at all. But it's a good practice. First of all, it helps us recognize for ourselves our own growth. So it could be a measurement for us, right? In days past, I would sit there begrudgingly, listen, people pleasing, listening to what she would have to say. I would just be like, oh, just shoot me now, right? But now I'm like, no. If there's nothing good to say, then we're not having this conversation. And I'm very confident in saying that to anybody. Whereas before, I would sit there and listen and just roll my eyes and be like, oh my God, I wish I was somewhere else. I get to control my circumstances. If I don't like what you're saying, either I can tell you, please don't, or I can tell you I don't want to hear it. I'm not really being like nice about it. Like, please don't talk about that. No, I'm just like, hey, I don't want to hear this, right? I'm just like matter of fact. So it's giving us a gauge of our own growth. The other thing is we being having practiced this for a while can be a light for the person who is in that space, and making and giving them the opportunity to recognize, you want to be negative, I do not. So we're not going to mesh in this conversation unless the conversation changes. So if you want to be with me, the conversation is going to be different, right? So it's giving them the opportunity to see the difference, and standing in our own power of, you're in my joyful world right now, and this is what it's going to be. It's not going to be otherwise, right? So there's when what I'm getting at is that when somebody comes into our experience, there's many things happening for us to recognize. First, our own personal growth, where we're standing with ourselves. Are we still in that people-pleasing mode, that fixer mode, that control mode? Are we still you know, seeking that love and acceptance, or are we being more confident? Are we standing in our truth? Are we expressing how we're feeling right now and being honest with ourselves? And we're being a light for other people. So, you know, we're a mirror image of somebody. So if I have strength in me, qualities in me that this other person is seeking, and I'm demonstrating that during our conversations, it is up to them to recognize that. Like, this is something they're seeking, and here I'm showing up, standing in my truth and my confidence, and valuing my time and my conversations, that might be something that they've been wanting. And here you are, right? The teacher shows up when the student's ready. So here we are. It could be that they get triggered. They're still in that victim mode, so they might get triggered by my confidence, by me standing in my truth, because they don't know how to do it yet. So they would just be irritated by me. And I recognize that because I had that happen to me when I started my journey in my mid-30s. I started my journey at 28, but in my mid-30s, I was sitting in an office environment, and with the tools I was learning, okay, if everybody's a mirror image of me, I'm with these people at least 8 hours every single day in this office. So they are mirroring to me something, right? So every person in that office, and there was there's like 5 that were immediate every day, and then another handful that were in and out almost on a daily basis. And I would listen to them. I would, you know, acknowledge what I liked about them. I would acknowledge what I didn't like about them, and then take the internal inventory. I would acknowledge how they talked, the words they used, right? And then take that internal inventory and go, okay, what is it I like about them? If I'm seeing it, then it's in me. I just haven't tapped into it yet. But there's one lady, she was my immediate supervisor, and she was confident in what she did. There was no budging. You couldn't push her one way or the other. She was like, this is the answer. This is the way it is. And I would get so frustrated. I was just like, oh, I just want to strangle this lady. But what I recognized is that whether the answer was whether the decision was good or bad, she stood in it. Her confidence of standing in it, standing behind it, was so powerful. And I was like, that's why she triggers me, because she is so confident in her answers, and she's so confident in her job, and she is just like on it, right? And I hated it because I couldn't find that in me. So once I did that, I was like, this is so cool. This is so cool. So happiness, I want to come back to the happiness. Like, we want to be in our joyful, my joyful bubble, my happy world, and emanate that light, because I am choosing to be happy. I am no longer searching for happiness. If you're searching for happiness, you're going to be on a very, very long journey. Because if you're searching for something, that means it's lost, and you're not going to find it. And even if it was in your immediate face, in your immediate experience, you wouldn't be able to recognize it because you're still searching for it.
It's true. Like, an example is how many times you can't find your glasses or a pen or anything like that, and it's in your purse. You know it's in your purse. You saw it there last in your purse, and you're looking through it, can't find it.
Yep.
And as soon as you forget about it, or like I'll say, okay, Angel, show me where it's at, and I'm sure it'll get me there soon, soon. And then I'll go through something, and then there it is, right there, because I let it go. Because when you're in a place of I lost something, or I can't find something, or in search of, you actually take yourself away from whatever you're searching, or whatever you're looking for, or whatever you're expecting. You kind of block yourself off from it. You talked about the happiness stuff, and I'll tell you, in this past week when this stuff was happening, I've had some weird experiences in meditation. One time, and I don't remember the joke, but I remember them telling me a joke. And I thought, well, I'm going to remember that because I thought, well, that's kind of funny. It's just kind of a strange thing. And then like the next day I had this freaking crazy dream about this. It was like a cowboy man and he had boots on and we're standing down. There was an old white pickup there or a pickup there. And the man is down there and he's like, he's going to jump off this cliff. I don't know if he was dying or whatever the situation was, but he's going to jump off this cliff and he wants his family to be there. And I don't know if he was like wishy-washy about it, like he wasn't going to do it. And then they start driving around. He's like driving away and he's like, wait. And I see this man and it's such a weird thing because I see it from a neutral space, but it's just weird. It's in my mind, it's kind of comical. Here this man is running up this hill, running along the top of this mountain to get to this cliff. And then he trips and then falls. He's like, wait. He falls off the cliff and he bounces off. I mean, it was just the weirdest. It was not even like a real experience. It was just the weirdest thing ever. And it's like, man, someone probably should call an ambulance just in case he's still alive. It was just the weirdest thing. But to me, it like represented a person from a victim standpoint and trying to get the attention because a victim needs attention. And he's like trying to get the attention of the family and they're not paying attention to him. And he's jumping off and he ends up doing it. And it's just was comical because like if you've ever tried to run in boots, cowboy boots, you don't run in cowboy boots.
No.
They don't have traction. They're slippery. And it's like, it was just the craziest, weirdest space to be in. And of course, I've said that I'm like active in my dreams. So I'm like asking, like, what is I wasn't going to go over there myself. I already knew that I wasn't going to go over and check it out.
Yeah.
But it was just the weirdest, crazy, like, and every time I've thought about it after that, it just makes me kind of chuckle. It's like the death of something from within inside of me that I don't need any longer. Do you know what I mean? It's such an experience, but it was funny. So they've been showing me different things. My spirit guides, the angels, God, I mean, whatever you want to look, however you want to look at it, because I've been doing a lot of meditation. I've been sitting outside, really just soaking in the earth. I've taken my shoes off and my socks off, and I'm just putting my feet in the rocks or the dirt or whatever. I'm doing this on a daily basis because that helps me and helps get me centered and stuff. And then, like I said, back to the music, playing songs in your head or listening to music. It gets you out of those funky spaces.
Yeah, for sure. And our angels would much rather, or they are joyful and fun. So I want to hit on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my thought is that had you had this dream 5 years ago or 10 years ago, like it would have freaked you out. Like, oh my God, somebody's gonna fall off the cliff, and right? And oh, I wonder who that was, and just like in this freak out mode. Whereas from the space you're in now, you can see some humor in the messages because your perception of how information is coming to you through your intuitive guidance, through your dreams, that you're seeing them differently now.
Yeah, because there's no such thing as death. Death doesn't happen. You can disappear off this plane, but my belief is there's many parallels. You may die off of this parallel, but you're still alive on a million others. Like you're still doing an active and playing a role, or I say playing a role because sometimes we're in that space for someone else to learn from us, just like you talking about being a caregiver and stuff. You're in that space. It's an opportunity for someone else to grow. Whether they do or not is their choice. It's their journey. All we can do, like you were saying, is stand in our power. All we can do is stand in our power and our confidence and our love. That's all we can do. We can and be the best example. And by saying that's not okay. And I've had that experience before too. It's like, we don't spend that much time together. Are you sure you want to talk about all this stuff? I mean, is there something else we could talk about? And it's like, then I was faced with attitude and aggression and I came across differently too. Not that I'm perfect as far as the communication goes, let me say, because I'm learning that it's a weird space to be in when you have not practiced that kind of stuff, to be in a place of upset and be able to communicate your words properly and talk to somebody else and make sense and not be led by all your emotion. It's all right for us to have our emotions, but I can't just go vomit all this anger at somebody. It doesn't serve either one of us any good. It doesn't resolve anything. It doesn't feel good afterwards either. And then you have the beat up time on yourself of why you talk that way and again, or so it's like it's just it's a practice.
Always. We're always practicing. Come on now.
Always, always.
Um, I find that talking about this topic of happiness right now is important. There's somebody who I'm friends with on Facebook, and it was the message she posted, you know, came from a victim standpoint of um, uh, her dependence on other people making her happy. Like, you know, these aren't her words, but the idea of I'm not worth anything, nobody cares about me, nobody pays attention to me, they just use me and then I'm nothing, that type of message. And what I want people to understand, and I understand this because I did it for so many years, is it is nobody's job to make you happy. So when we say, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be so happy if he asks me out, or I'll be so happy if my husband brings me home flowers or comes home early, or I'll be so happy when I get that car or that house. I'll be so happy when I get that new job. Will you? I mean, if we like really ask that question, will you? Yeah, you will. For about 5 minutes of your eternity, right?
Right.
Because when the pipes break in the house, what are you going to do? Freak out. When the heater or air conditioner breaks and it's freezing ass cold or hottest day of the year, you're freaking out. You're pissed. You're angry. You're upset. You're frustrated. You're irritated. The new car, right? Oh my gosh, I got to spend so much on it to get it fixed. You get a flat tire, right? The new career. Yeah, you might be looking at the amount of money that you would be getting or the title that you would be getting, but then you get into it and then you decide you don't like the people. I've had that happen. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be so good, right? And then I get in there and I'm like, wait a minute, these people are not how it's not a healthy work environment by no means, right? I've had that happen, but I stayed for almost 5 years because of the money, because of the benefits. We had bills to pay. We needed the insurance, right? But I didn't like it. I didn't like the people because it was like narcissistic relationship. So those were one of the things that I was evaluating when I was doing my mirroring of what are they representing to me. That would be one. I'm a narcissistic relationship. Um, so yeah, they might bring you some happiness for a very short period of time. And then gone. Then it's gone. Right? Well,
Yes.
okay, so you wanted that beautiful house and the pool or you know the big yard or fenced in for your animals, whatever it might be, you get the keys and in that moment you're just like, oh, this is so great. And then you get a call from, I don't know, let's say a friend or relative who you can't stand, and you answer the phone, you get a big old argument. You said you'd be happy if you got the house. You said you'd be happy if you got the car. You said you'd be happy if you got this new career. But yet a conversation shoots you off the cliff, right? Shoot you into the anger and the frustration, the irritation. What happened to the happiness? So the external, especially expecting other people to make you happy, is something we definitely have to let go of.
Yeah.
We have to let go of that belief that my kids are supposed to make me happy. My spouse or my significant other is supposed to make me happy. My mom or dad are supposed to make me happy. My coworkers are supposed to make me happy. My neighbor is supposed to make me like that is a very false belief. The happiness, the joy, the peace, the calm, the love, all of it comes from within. And then what these other people can do is encourage you to be happy. Or if you're already in that space with yourself, like being confident in the love for yourself, the joy for yourself, the peace and the calmness that's in your body, right? The peace of mind, that if when people come into your experience, meaning you're there sharing a moment with them and you're laughing and having a good time, they're enhancing the happiness, the joy. They're adding to it. They're adding value to the experience. And this is another conversation I just had yesterday, no, 2 days ago with somebody, is if somebody's not adding value to your life, it might be time to create some distance between you and them. Because when people are in victim mode, we say this quite frequently, misery loves company. And if somebody's in a victim mode, you're happy and joyful and enjoying your life. I'm in my joy bubble, and my friend's struggling in a relationship or having difficulty in her finances or having difficulty in her career. I have a choice. I can stay in my joyful space and encourage her to, or him to, recognize that there are so many other options to take. There are so many choices that we can go, right? Or I can dip down into that energy of victim mentality with them and play woe is me and I remember when and oh my gosh, can you believe this, and it's all their fault, and it's that does, even just saying it, I mean, you could hear my tone of voice and my body language is saying this doesn't feel good. I don't even want to have this conversation. So I can give my friend some options of, because I'm going to stay in my joy bubble, and my goal is to let them see other avenues to choose from, to encourage them to be in a learning state of, look how much you've learned from the experience. Now here are your options. Which one feels the best to you? Let's move in that direction. That's the choice I'm going to take. If you're going to call me, Bev, and just say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened, and and I say, okay, well, Bev, here's what what have you learned? What are your options? What other directions can we move? And you're just like, oh, screw you, Amy, I don't want to talk. I'm like, okay, well, you know what, sis, I got some other things to go do, so I'm going to talk to you later. Because Bev wants to stay in a victim mentality. I'm not willing to be there with her. Peace out, bro. I got other things to do. When you want a solution, call me. And her and I have that kind of relationship. Like, okay, Bev, are you ready to learn from this? She says, no, I want to be on my pity pod. I say, okay, well, go be on your pity pod. When you're ready to have a different conversation, call me and we'll get through this. And she knows that's what I'm going to tell her. She knows it. So she knows when she picks up the phone, I'll let her be on her pity pod for a few minutes, and then let's get to work. Am I speaking the truth?
You are speaking the truth. There's actually a few things I want to hit on too, because we talked about when you rely on everybody else outside of yourself, you're dependent upon them for your happiness, which puts you into expectation. And then it always falls short because it's never going to be exactly what you had in your mind.
You give them the power of that.
You do. And we don't recognize we're doing it until you slowly start seeing it. And you had talked about this person. So if we just use this one person as an example, that they're looking for all these things outside of them and they're wanting the attention, they're wanting all these things. It's you that wants the attention from yourself. It's not your desires and your wants really aren't outside of yourself. It's you wanting to give the attention to yourself. Hey, if I want flowers, I go freaking buy the flowers I want. If I'm walking through the grocery store and they catch my eye, I buy them. And I enjoy them every single day when I'm walking around because that's what I want. I'm not expecting someone else to do it for me. I appreciate it when it does come, because it's just like you said, it's an enhancement. To me, I always say it's icing on the cake. If I'm taking care of everything for myself, then my relationships, my family, when everything's going great and we're all spending time together, that's just icing on the cake. It's not, it's just it's a wonderful place to be in, but it's without expectation. And I'm not saying that I haven't had expectations. I do. When a person gets into a routine of doing something for you, and then all of a sudden that routine's not being met any longer, it's like, well, what the hell? Did I do something wrong? And then you start going through this process, and it's like recognizing at that moment, because I've had to, like, I'm having expectations of this, and that puts a restriction or limits on any relationship. It doesn't matter if it's your kids, partner, bosses, coworkers, whatever. It doesn't matter, because you're putting out expectations that are never going to be met. They might temporarily be met, like you said. We've talked about that, and then that's also up to you too. It's like if you just bought a new house, it's not just getting the new house. What are all the wonderful things you're going to do in that house? You're going to have a new office. We're going to, it's everything. Every moment it is an opportunity to create, because we're doing it whether we think we are or not. So it's like, what do you want to create? Do I want to create jealousy in a relationship? No. What do I want to see in that relationship? So you start looking for all the stuff that you want to see in a relationship. You just kind of, just like the house. Before I was living in a house, I loved the house, and then I kept trying to find things to fix on the house. Like, the kids could have a bathroom between their bedrooms, and that way they're not using this other bathroom, so that we don't have to worry about when guests come over and it's a mess. Or, it's constantly, to me, I was not appreciating. I was unappreciative of the things that I had. And I had a lot of wonderful things. Looking back, I can tell you I had a lot of wonderful things. I just wasn't I didn't have the tools or the understanding why I was feeling the way I was feeling, when really it was all within. It was everything I had to look at myself. I had to go looking at myself. Why am I angry all the time? Why can't anything ever satisfy me? Why am I only happy for a few minutes? Because it was everything outside of me. I was looking for everything outside of me. And that started from an early age.
Yep. I know there's been many times when I was in that victim state that I would look forward to being around certain people because I knew that they would make me laugh.
Oh, yes.
Because I didn't know how to do that on my own. And so I was just so excited to be around somebody else who could make me laugh. And I like the word that you use, the expectation. We have an expectation of other people. So if I'm, so here I am, victim mentality. I struggle in being joyful. I struggle laughing, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to this party. I know this person's going to be there. It's going to be so much fun because they're gonna, all right. I'm building those expectations. This person's going to be there, and they're going to make me laugh. It's going to be a joyful moment to be around them, because I don't like being around myself, but it's going to be joyful to be around them because I know they're going to make me laugh, right? So the expectation of this other person also putting the power in their hands of my happiness, my joy. And then how many times have you showed up and either that person doesn't show up, or they show up and they're in a bad mood, or they show up and they're busy with other people? So my expectation of them bringing me joy just got knocked down. And now I'm like, what the hell, right? And so I may not be miserable the whole time I'm there, but I'm just not in a very happy space because this person didn't meet my expectations. And that's what we do. We put these expectations on all these people, and it's not their freaking job.
It's not their job.
I don't care if you're their parent. Like you chose, if you're a parent and you're expecting your children to make you happy, it is not their job. You chose to have that child. Accident or not. First of all, you chose to have sex. I'm going to say most of the time. there are some times when we don't choose to have that happen, and I get that. So if you're in that category, we'll just set that aside. But for the most part, we chose to partake in a sexual act, got pregnant, and we chose to have that child. We chose to dedicate our time and energy to raising that child until they could be on their own. We chose that. Once they are an adult, they're an adult. And your expectations that they are supposed to bring joy to your world, joy to you whenever you see them or talk to them, is a belief that is false. It's a false belief, because now here they are. They could be a teenager, they could be 9, 10 years old, whatever it might be. They're trying to figure out themselves. They're trying to figure out the people that they want to hang around. They're trying to do the people pleasing. They're trying to be the fixer. They're implementing these habits and behaviors and patterns that they learn from you as the parent. And I'm guilty of these things. And so they're trying to figure out their identity, and they're struggling with these people, these kids at school, or these people in the workplace. And then you have this expectation that they're supposed to make you joyful. We need to do some reevaluation, people. They got their own world going on. They got their own difficulties going on. They got their own beliefs, habits, patterns, struggles, worries, concerns. Like, they got their world going on, and then you're putting them on this expectation of making you happy. But that's got to stop.
If you want to be happy, it does. Seriously.
Because the only thing,
I live
most of my
life that way.
Yeah. But what happens is disappointment. They didn't meet your expectations, so now you're disappointed. Well, the disappointment is a reflection. You be disappointed in yourself because you didn't show up for yourself. You didn't make yourself happy that day or in that moment. You didn't bring the joy to the conversation or to the experience. I've been around people and not said hardly a handful of words, but I'll be around them for a couple hours. And I've had more compliments about me and people wanting to spend time with me, but it's because of the energy I bring to it. But that energy starts with me. I have to feel that energy within myself. I have to embrace that energy that I enjoy. And when I do that, it automatically filters out to other people. Now, if they're depending on me to bring them peace and calmness and joy, then they're putting an expectation on me for something they have to do for themselves. Not my responsibility.
No, even when they get mad at you, they do, because they will.
Yeah.
Because that's an expectation, and because I've been there. I was that person getting mad at someone else because they didn't do what I expected them to do.
Yep.
I mean, such an easy example is, like, I told you guys I wanted the rooms clean before I got home, and you haven't even touched them. You know what I mean? It's just those kind of expectations. It's something that has to come with it. It's an internal thing. It has nothing to do. It really has nothing to do with outside of us.
And even if they clean the room, you're going to be happy for this amount, like a hairline amount of time, right? It's like a hairline time. And because you know what they're going to do? They're going to turn around and leave the glass sitting in the living room. And then there you go. You're pissed off again.
Yeah. Like, here we go.
Here we go. See? I knew it.
And what is that teaching? What is that teaching? It's teaching ignorance, really, because it's like then they just don't hear you anymore, and then they just forget it because it's like it wasn't a good conversation, it wasn't a good situation. There's so many different ways, and that's where when we're coming from a space of love, we don't ever act that way. We don't ever react that way. I would never come home and see the kids' rooms a mess and react that way. I would have been thankful that my kids were there, that they even made the mess, because if they weren't there, no messes would be made. Let's face it. Life's not clean. It's messy. But
Messy.
thank God we have those people around us. And that's the thing, to appreciate all that stuff. And that's why a lot of people don't appreciate those things until they're no longer there. Then you start recognizing. And I'm just as guilty of that as anybody else is. But it's not beating myself up about it. It's finding ways to appreciate it now, and it's still finding resolve, whether it's in person with a person or not, within yourself. Like, I'm sorry, or thank you for being this person that helped me to see this within myself.
For sure. I had a thought that came, and I'm looking for it.
Around in this room somewhere.
Somewhere that thought went. Anyway,
That's all right.
it is okay. It's funny. Funny. Control. Okay, I got it. Control. Okay, so people who are control freaks, they spend a lot of time trying to control everything, all the aspects, because if everything's perfect and everybody's doing what they need them to do, then they'll be happy. I was one of them people too. Well, what I finally realized is how exhausting it was trying to control everything. Trying to control things that are not in your control. That is so damn exhausting.
It is frustrating.
Frustrating, irritating. I can't tell you how many times I got angry because people weren't doing what I wanted them to do, and showing up the way I wanted them to show up, right? So if you recognize you are a control freak, then it's time to learn to do something different and control yourself. So just a side note, we become control freaks because at some point we were taught in our childhood that we did not have control, or we felt out of control. And that would have been demonstrated by the adults around us. And so you want to try to control, you think you're controlling things, people and things, so that you can be happy. But all of that, again, is still outside of yourself. And anything outside of ourselves, we don't have control over. We have zero. Okay, I'm gonna get the dog. My kids are gonna be so happy. It's gonna add so much joy to our life. Until it pees and poops on the carpet, and now you have a stain, and now you got to call the cleaners, and now that's an expense. Or they chew on the furniture, the cat claw on the furniture, or the dog's scraping at the doors because they can't stand, they're having some kind of an anxiety issue, and now you got to replace the doors, right? Now you're pissed, you're angry, you're irritated. So you're thinking you're going to control the dog, you're going to control the kids, you're going to control the spouses, you're going to control the work environment. No, it's just telling you you don't have control of anything outside of yourself. So we need to go inward and say, what do I have control of? And the happiness is one thing among many that you have control over, your own happiness. So, I mean, I've had my son, he's like, I took care of his dog for a month. I've been quite the caregiver this year already. I cared for his dog for a month. And when he came to pick her up, he's like, Mom, you guys need to get a dog. I'm like, no. Don't get me wrong. I like animals. Okay. That doesn't mean I need one in my immediate experience every single day, because I know it does not excite me to go pick up piles and the vet appointments and all those things. That doesn't bring joy to me. I can go and embrace other people's animals. I get to spend time with my grand dog. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But to have it on a daily basis is not something that brings me joy.
You know,
So,
you're talking about having, and it kind of, and I don't understand why we do this to ourselves. Because I had, when my kids were little, I was single for a while until I had met Jim. The kids were like, Brianne was under a year, and I think Ariana was close to 2, or a year and a half, or somewhere around there. I don't even remember right now. But it's like he comes into the life, and it's like, so I have this responsibility of the kids and a spouse, and then we end up moving into we had moved into our own house. And what do I do? Go out and do? Like, I already have enough to do. I'm working 40 plus hours a week. And I've got 2 daughters, you know, my daughters to take care of, and a relationship and everything else. I go and add 2 more dogs, 2 cats. Next thing you know, I've got 3 dogs, 3 cats, a rabbits, some fish. And it's like, I don't understand what, I mean, I can get it now, but back then it's like, I had so much responsibility, so much to do that I kept giving myself more things to do.
it
And
was
it's
just
like nobody was getting the right attention. Nobody was.
well, the busier, and this is something I recognized, and um, it's the way I'm viewing and perceiving things right now is the more we add to our plate, the more I take on, the more I have to do, the busier I am, the more important I seem to be to get the attention of, oh, you're doing so good. You're now I'm getting the acceptance of people complimenting me of how much I can take care of. And so my perception was if I start a business, then I need to be super busy. So, okay, so I was the person who added all that stuff to my plate. Got the kids, got the new relationship. Now I need an animal. Right? I did all that too. It's like because I needed that attention to make me feel important.
Do you
So
think it's
huh?
Do you think it's to make you feel important, or do you think at some point that's a sign of depression? Because the busier you keep yourself, there's no way you
Oh,
can
it's
sit
all of it.
doing stuff.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's because I was super depressed too. So I mean, distraction, but also it was a way of getting attention, people pleasing, being the control freak, being the fixer, right? It was a package of all of it, all of it. And as long as I stayed busy, it would take the attention off of myself. I wouldn't have to be with myself.
Exactly.
Okay, so we got that package going on. So then I go through this personal growth, and now it's like, okay, I want to simplify my life. So I want to declutter, right? We want to get rid of the unhealthy relationships. We want to get rid of the piles in the house, the stuffing in the closets. Just declutter, simplify my life. So because the more my external environment is, the more calm it is, the more calm I am, the more calm my environment is going to be. That's automatic. But it's got to start with me. So I needed to simplify the emotions that I was having so that my external experiences were simplified.
Gotcha.
Okay. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to build this business. Well, I went into old mode. Well, if I'm an entrepreneur, then that means I need to be busy. So unconsciously start adding things to my plate. And I was overwhelmed, like daily, I was overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, I got so much to do and I don't have enough time to do it. And I just went into overwhelm and till I recognized, well, you did this to yourself by how you're perceiving things. So I had to reevaluate what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? What does it mean? And in that time frame, I joined an organization and I come with the confidence that I have now, the skills that I have now, right? I bring that with me. So these people in this organization, of course, any organization you join, people are like, oh, good, fresh meat, we can groom them and take on some of this responsibility that we've been doing for all these years, and right. And so I mean, I don't like to use this word, but it's almost like an attack. Like they pounce on you and then they're just trying to get you to do everything. So, but the thing was I joined the organization because it's a women's group and it's a leaders. So I wanted more leaders in my life. because I wanted those skills. I wanted to add those skills to, because I'm, I'm still learning. So I get into the organization. I took a board position. But in the meantime, I'm watching these ladies, and it's like everyone, like most of them have careers, and they're in this organization, and they're in that organization, and they're in that organization, and they're doing this and doing that. And I'm just like, hold on, time out, right? I had to reevaluate again. I can be an entrepreneur, I can be a leader, I can be a business owner, I can do things. That does not mean I have to be on go from the moment I wake up till I crash at night. I'm not the people pleaser that these people are being. I'm not the fixer, I'm not the control for. I'm like, this world that's happening that I'm in right now doesn't feel good to me.
But you're still teaching people at the same time. So when you think about all this stuff, because you're teaching all of us, there's a different way to do this. You don't have to be, in order for you to gain this knowledge, you don't have to go do this, or you don't have to people please. It can be on your terms. It doesn't have to be where you feel like you're running around on a freaking hamster wheel. It doesn't have to be that you're stressed out all the time, or you feel like you don't have time for yourself. The whole idea of having your own business, your own work, whatever you're going to do, is so you have the time for yourself, so you create the time for yourself. Because let's face it, if you're happy, then you're even better for whatever your job you're doing. If I'm happy, I'm even better for my clients, whatever my clients look like, whether it's through massage or guidance or whatever. It's such a huge message. And then on top of all that, let's not forget all the digital stuff you were working on at the same time. Like so much stuff, so much growth trying to cram into the body at one time, and then stuff going out. But it's like if you weren't in that position, you wouldn't have recognized this is people pleasing. This is all people pleasing right now. So it's not like anything was wrong. It was just it. There's something I heard someone say about the Bible or something. They were lost in the desert for whatever amount of time frame. It's like sometimes we just get lost in the desert. We get lost making a certain type of income. We get lost thinking that we have to people please. We get lost. It doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is you realized it. You figured it out, and actually you figured it out quick. And then, but you had already made a commitment, so you followed
Right,
through
I
on your
did make a
commitment.
commitment, and I'm for the most part, I it was an integrity thing that I made the commitment, so I'm going to follow through on what I've already committed to do. But even so, I could have at any time said, I don't want to do this anymore. Doesn't feel good.
Now, in hindsight, would you have, in hindsight, with the knowledge you have right today, would you have maintained that commitment for the full amount of time, or would you have honored your feelings?
No, I was going to go
Uh-huh.
into. I embrace that stayed with the commitment because of what I learned.
Okay.
I learned a lot. So it was almost like a crash course. Bam, right now. Okay, you
Yeah.
want to learn leadership? Here you go. We're giving you this, this, and this on top of everything else you're doing. And yeah, I went into overwhelm, and I was like, oh my gosh, and the stories, right? Stories started working in my head, and the perception I had about being an entrepreneur and a business leader and all this is like this, and I was just like, this is too much. So when the commitment was fulfilled, I said, yeah, I'm not, you need to find somebody else, please.
Yeah. Well, it helps you redefine boundaries and stuff. It's like I feel like you've always been good with setting boundaries from the time that I've known you, because I've learned boundaries because of how you had handled things. But I feel like it even redefined your boundaries. Like it even made you look at things more like this, this is not okay. I know we've had other conversations about things, people contacting at later times, creating those boundaries, like this isn't okay. So it's answering it when you're available or when you're ready to, or sometimes being ready to is just being all right with it in your mind, like you're in a good space, and then handling it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Those boundaries.
And that uh, creating boundaries is a part of building your confidence, for one. but also can bring, it begins to it helped me simplify my life, because no means no. No is a statement. And I don't have to justify to anybody why I'm saying no. But for the most part, the reason why I say no is because it doesn't feel good to me. And I know it's going to add more on my plate than what I'm willing to add, because I have enough going on. And so simplicity, right? Simplifying my life. And boundaries are super important. Of course, I think we've talked about them before, and it's a whole nother conversation, but it is a part of adding to your happiness. Because if we are saying yes to everything, majority of the time, it's because we are people pleasing, because we want people to like us and accept us and love us. Sister, brother, let me tell you, when you love and accept yourself, I don't need to call Bev and hear her. I don't need to hear her say these things, these nice things to me. It feels good. Absolutely. It's a compliment, and I appreciate it, and I embrace her kind words, but I'm no longer in a space where I need to hear that. I compliment her all the time. I'm like so thankful and grateful that she's in my life, and I love her, and she's an amazing massage therapist, and she's a great person to talk to. We have deep conversations. But I'm going to guess that she is loving and accepting herself enough that my kind words are adding to her happiness and joy. It is not the expectation that she thinks that when she talks to me, I'm going to lift her up. Unless we're having a life experience where we're seeking a solution and guidance, when we have our conversations, we are already in that space of being happy or joyful. And when we have conversations, we add to each other's joy.
Yes.
And it's so much fun because we laugh and giggle and are playful. So bring that energy with you, bring that happiness with you, but that happiness must reside within yourself first.
Yeah. Treat yourself the way you want to be treated. Because you were even talking about that too before. It's like if you can't give healthy boundaries then to yourself, then no one else is going to respect your boundaries. If you can't give love to yourself, then no one else is going to be able to show you that love. These are things that we can give ourselves gifts every single moment, really. And it shows up in our daily lives. It'll show up in your face all the time. However you're treating yourself is how it shows up, how your day shows up.
Yeah, and I responded to the girl who made the post on the Facebook page. I responded with, well, first I was just like, it was that deep sigh, rolling my eyes. I'm like, seriously, come on. Just like, oh. So recognizing that I still get triggered when people are in that space. And so I posted a comment of, how are you not showing up for your own happiness? And there was some other words I put in it, but it was like, you got to bring your own joy. You need to have that joy within yourself. I mean, just in just a few sentences, I got to the point of what we're talking about today in this podcast. Is that's the way I respond to people on Facebook. They're coming with their pity pod, sad stories. Everybody's, I'm sorry. Oh, honey, I'm here for you. Oh, this, oh, that, blah, and I'm just like, you just feel when you read the comments, the energy of the words and what's being emanated is just so low vibrational, and everybody, misery loves company. So everybody can relate. Of course I relate to her. I get it. But to stay there, and this is the way she's getting the love and acceptance, is by people responding with, oh, I'm so sorry you're experiencing, right? Oh, right? Oh, so I don't go there. I don't play that. I'm like, listen, How are you not showing up for yourself? How are you not bringing your own happiness? How are you not in your own joy? How are you abandoning? This is one I had to get for myself. How are you abandoning yourself? Because my whole, like my clear into my 40s was, oh, I was abandoned when my biological, like I've been telling that story for years. You've heard it a lot. But my learning, my switching of my perception of my life was, how am I abandoning myself? And that came when I was drinking a lot. I was abandoning myself because I was covering up the emotions. I was pushing everything down. I was people pleasing, fixer, all this outside of myself, seeking love and attention and acceptance and all that. I was abandoning myself. So through the biological father abandoning me, I abandoned myself, which took me into the learning stage and growth stage of, how am I going to show up for myself now? So that was a switch, right? So part of that is, how am I going to be happy within myself? Even though I've had all these experiences, even though I made all these choices and decisions, how am I going to show up in my happiness for me? And it encompasses everything we've talked about today. So that's what I got.
That's what I got. That's what I got. I don't got
That's
nothing
what I
else.
got. If
Yeah.
you want to be solution oriented, okay. Well, if you're in your pity pod, because I know that I have people who that I'm close to who will, they're like, they don't want to have a conversation with me because they know I'm not going to grovel with them.
Yep.
And so they won't call me. And so if they do call me and they're groveling, meaning they're on their pity pod or having a moment of victimhood, I let them be there. I said it earlier. I'll let them be there for a few moments in the conversation, but then we need to switch it right now. We need to be solution oriented. We gotta get up out of this mud and guck and stuckness, and let's go in a different direction so we can start feeling good.
Yes.
I mean, I already feel good, but let's get you feeling good, right? Let's get you feeling better, at least a little better than what you feel right now. So
Yeah, it is a choice. So make your choices wisely.
wisely, right? Yeah, wisely. But at least making a choice is moving. It's still momentum. And you'll figure out if it was the right choice or not. There's no wrong choices. There's another podcast. There's no wrong choices. We had that one too.
Nope, there's not. There's none. All of us an experience. It's just, what do you want to experience?
For sure. Absolutely.
Well, awesome, awesome.
Awesome. What a great conversation. Love it.
Me too.
And thank you for being here with us. It's an honor always, every week, to be here and share this time with you. And I know, I mean, even Bev and I, we could be doing something else, but we're showing up every week. So bring in some joy, bringing some solution, bringing some wisdom to our audience. And you know somebody who could use this information. So just saying.
Share it. That's right.
So with that, thank you so much for being here with Tea Time with Amie and Bev, and we will see you next week.
Yes, have a great week.